Before we unseal this file, allow me to propose an understanding between us. My purpose is to present these findings with the detail and solemnity they deserve. Your purpose is to seek knowledge that resides in the shadows. My request is simple. I ask not for your blind agreement, but for your critical judgment. If, by the end of this entry, you find the knowledge within to be shallow, or the presentation unworthy of the subject, then I expect you to close this archive and seek enlightenment elsewhere. No hard feelings. However, if you find this investigation valuable, if the depth of this research resonates with the part of you that knows these legends hold a grim truth, then I will expect you to honor your end of our pact. At the conclusion, I will ask you to become a permanent guardian of this knowledge by subscribing to the Codex. We have an agreement. Now, let us proceed. Within the extensive taxonomy of nocturnal predators, few are as fundamentally disquieting as the Krasue of Southeast Asian folklore. The entity presents a paradox that challenges our core perceptions of monstrosity. It is a horror defined not by its distance from humanity, but by its chilling proximity to it. It is a creature of two irreconcilable halves, one that walks in the sun and one that hunts in the dark.
By day, there is nothing to mark her. She is a face in the village, indistinguishable from any other. Her existence is one of routine, of normality. She performs her chores, engages in commerce at the market, and maintains the quiet facade of a life lived without incident. She is a neighbor, a daughter, perhaps even a wife. Her physical form is whole, her presence unremarkable. This mundane existence is the creature's most profound and effective camouflage. But this placid state is merely a dormancy, a holding pattern dictated by the cycle of the sun. As dusk settles and the world is rendered in shades of gray and black, a profane biological imperative awakens. Inside the privacy of her dwelling, a grotesque transmutation begins. It is not a violent or painful process, but one of an unearning, silent separation. The head begins to lift from the torso, not tearing, but disengaging with a preternatural ease. The body, from the neck down, remains behind, a vacant vessel left seated or lying in the darkness, disturbingly serene. From the severed base of the neck, the internal organs descend, the heart, the stomach, and the looping coils of the intestines spill forth, hanging from the disembodied head in a glistening visceral mass. This horrifying configuration, a floating head trailing its own vital systems, begins to emit a faint, ethereal glow. It then drifts from the home, passing through windows or walls, and out into the night. The Krasue is now free. Its hunt for sustenance of blood and flesh has begun.
The primary provenance of the Krasue legend is believed to originate from ancient Khmer lore, a tale of royal tragedy and corrupted magic. The central figure is that of a princess, a woman of high station who defied convention by falling in love with a common soldier of lower rank. Their affair was a profound transgression against the rigid hierarchies of the time, and they were forced to conduct their relationship in absolute secrecy. Inevitably, they were discovered. The source of the betrayal is often attributed to a jealous, spurned nobleman who also sought the princess's hand. His motivations were not of love, but of ambition and pride. Upon learning of her affair, he reported her treasonous relationship to the king. The punishment for such a crime was absolute and without mercy. The soldier was executed, and the princess herself was sentenced to death by immolation. As she was led to the pyre, the princess, who had secretly studied the region's dark and forbidden sorcery, sought to protect herself. She performed a desperate last-minute incantation, a ritual intended to make her body impervious to the consuming flames. But in her haste and terror, the ritual was flawed. The magic took hold imperfectly. It was not powerful enough to shield her entire body, but it was potent enough to enact a horrifying alternative.
As the fire engulfed her, the spell activated. It protected her head and her internal organs, the core of her life force and consciousness. While the rest of her body was consumed by the pyre, her head and viscera tore themselves free from the inferno, escaping the physical destruction, but not the agony. Her spirit, now bound to this fragmented form and supercharged with the pain of her execution and the fury of her betrayal, was damned. She did not die. She became the first Krasue, a creature of endless rage and an insatiable, gruesome hunger, cursed to forever wander the night. While the tale of the Khmer princess is the most widely cited origin, it is not the only one. The archives contain alternate accounts that speak less of tragedy and more of deliberate transgression. One such variation posits that the Krasue is the result of a pact with darkness gone awry. A woman seeking eternal beauty or illicit power willingly engages in a black magic ritual. She consumes a foul concoction and recites forbidden words, but violates a crucial binding vow associated with the pact. The magic, instead of granting her desire, corrupts her. It twists her physical nature, bestowing upon her a long and cursed life, but one that requires a horrific price for its continuation. Her nightly transformation is the direct consequence of her broken oath.
Perhaps the most disturbing origin theory, however, is the one that removes the element of choice entirely. In this telling, the affliction of the Krasue is not a punishment for a personal sin, but a hereditary curse passed down through a maternal bloodline. This curse is transmitted from an elder, dying Krasue to a younger, female relative. The vector of transmission is deceptively simple: saliva. Sharing a drink, a piece of food, or even a kiss can be enough to pass the dark inheritance. The recipient is often entirely unaware of the horror that has been placed inside her. She lives a normal life until one night, often years later, the curse awakens, and she finds herself subject to the same profane hunger that plagued her ancestor. This transforms the creature from a malevolent predator into a tragic victim, a prisoner within her own body, forced to commit atrocities by a damnation she never chose. This multifaceted legend has migrated and evolved, its name and particular attributes shifting as it crossed cultural and geographic borders. In Cambodia, the creature is known as the Ap. In Laos, it is the Krasue. While the core concept of a floating head with trailing viscera remains consistent, minor regional variations exist in the lore. Some accounts emphasize the faint, ghostly light it emits, while others focus on its long, searching tongue used to probe for victims. The communities that live under the shadow of this legend have developed a specific set of countermeasures, a practical guide to defense rooted in the creature's unique physiology. The Krasue's primary vulnerability is its exposed, dangling organs. To protect homes, particularly those of expectant mothers who are the creature's preferred targets, a perimeter of thorns is often erected. Sharp bamboo, thorny vines, or thickets of brambles are placed around and beneath the still-lit houses. The intent is to create a snare. If the creature's entrails become caught on these thorns, it is effectively trapped. This initiates a desperate struggle, for if the Krasue cannot free itself by sunrise, the light of dawn will incinerate its spectral form.
The most definitive method of destroying the creature involves a direct assault on its fundamental duality. While the head is out hunting, its human body remains behind, completely inert and defenseless. If this body can be located, it can be destroyed, typically by burning it to ash. Alternatively, simply hiding the body or preventing the head from re-entering it achieves the same result. The returning head, finding its corporeal anchor gone, is left stranded. Without its body to merge with, it is annihilated by the morning sun. This grim reality means that the discovery of a Krasue's daytime identity is tantamount to a death sentence, turning the entire community into potential judges and executioners. In reviewing the collected data, it becomes clear that the Krasue is more than a simple specter. It represents a far more complex and resonant form of horror. It is an entity born from human suffering, from betrayal, from ambition, from the inescapable burdens of ancestry. The modern world may seek to dismiss such legends as rustic folklore, but the fear they inspire speaks to a truth that transcends time. The horror of the Krasue is not just in its grotesque appearance, but in its tragic origin. It serves as a permanent, cautionary entry in the Codex, a reminder that the most terrifying monsters are often those that were once human, and that some curses are so profound that they erase the line between the predator and its first victim, itself. Our investigation is now complete. At the outset, we established an agreement, a pact between archivist and seeker. I have presented the evidence as promised. Now the decision rests with you. If you have found dysentery lacking, you are free to depart. But if this knowledge has proven its worth, then honor our pact. Fulfill your rule. Secure your place in the archives. Subscribe, and ensure this forgotten folklore is never
truly forgotten. Have you ever heard a story about a local creature that was more tragic and terrifying? Leave your findings in the records below.